Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Emily. I'm an occupational therapist from Australia and I'm currently practicing in Hong Kong. In today's video, I'm going to share with you about what an occupational therapy session would look like with a sensory integration approach. So this video can be helpful for parents who are wondering what a sensory integration might look like for their child, and for teachers or other therapists that are interested in the sensory integration approach. So let's dive into it. After the child has been evaluated and assessed, the occupational therapist will decide whether your child would benefit from a sensory integration approach. And if they do, what the sessions might look like is your child is going to be engaging in a variety of activities that involve different sensory input. Some of the activities you might see, for example, is swinging. That is very common. So the swinging movement is able to engage balance, movement, and visual sensory input. And this is sometimes called the vestibular senses. And then other senses that might be engaged is proprioceptive, which is really helpful for engaging and stimulating body awareness and that calming deep pressure that sometimes the children's body really responds well to. So this might look like crashing activities or pushing and pulling activities, rock climbing as well. Other senses that we might use is most common also is touch processing. With touch processing, a lot of our children might be sensitive to different textures and touch games. So what the occupational therapist would do is gradually introduce your child to a variety of different senses, but in a safe way. So they might start with very small amounts of dried textures like dried pasta, beans, and then gradually build it up into more of these or more of a difficult texture that is a bit more uncomfortable, which is kind of wet, such as shaving cream or paint or gel. And that is part of the sensory integration process as well, in order to help your child be able to touch these sensory activities and still feel calm and organized when engaging in them. It really depends on your child. Sometimes and most often as well is that the sensory processing of touch can also be calming for some children. So playing with water or playing with sand can also be calming for some children. And we can use that activity as almost like a comfortable strength-based, and then combine it with something that is a bit more tricky for them. Okay, or the occupational therapist might engage in water play in the beginning of the session so that your child feels calm and regulated, and then add on more different challenges afterwards. So that's really what it might look like. Now I'm going to explain more behind the purpose of it. So the purpose of it is being able to basically slow down the sensory world for your child. In the sensory gym, it is a safe place for your child to be able to kind of trial and test out what these senses mean, give them some definition to their own personal needs, and then also test out their responses and behavior to them. And another thing that an occupational therapist would help your child do in these sessions is that once your child is slowly being able to process the sensory information more often, we will try to prolong and tap into these states for longer periods of time. So if your child may be a bit more under responsive to sound, so processing sound, and they are not responding to their name or directions very often, through sensory integration we might play games that involve some sounds, and gradually your child will be able to discriminate the differences between maybe my voice and the background voice. And when they're able to do that, we want to prolong their ability to use that skill set so that they can participate in these games for longer, maybe with more instructions later on. And the same goes for visual games. So if your child is maybe, we would say, seeking visual input a lot, but maybe not purposefully, we will help your child be able to visually track these visual information better, and then practice responding and making connections about what looking at something, and then what the meaning it is for looking, and then moving your body to what they see. Gradually, this will build brain pathways, or I like to say like a brain bank of very pleasant activities where it's meaningful for the child, being able to take in those information through their senses and then use it in a fun way with the therapist, and also be able to use that brain bank to inform their experiences out in the real world when they're playing at home or at school or in the playground. Now, I'm going to go through some of the core elements that you should look for if your child is engaging in sensory integration therapy. So one of it is the therapy should be child directed. What this means is that the therapist was most likely follow your child and take their lead and their inner drive to inform their next plan or the next activity. Okay, so the therapist is always supporting and not really imposing all the time. Okay, and then another thing is that sensory integration should be in a sensory rich environment. The sessions are done in the sensory gym, where there is a lot of different types of sensory stimulation equipment to be used with the child. Another element is that sensory integration will involve your child's active participation in planning some of the activities, and also support their ability to make the steps and the motor planning to create different types of experiences and problem solving together, because we want to have as much adaptive responses as possible. This is natural responses that will spontaneously occur after a challenge has been made, and it will suit the challenge, the task, and the environment at the time. And then the last one is it really should involve parent education. So if your child is in this sensory integration intervention, then it should involve you as well. You can sit inside the sessions, or you can ask for a session just by yourself to hear some feedback and approaches of what is happening in the sessions. I hope you found this video helpful. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And also, if you like, you can follow me on Instagram. That is where I share lots of occupational therapy activities and videos of games that you can play in occupational therapy sessions with your child. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I share lots of videos about occupational therapy, different treatment approaches, activities for fine motor skills, sensory processing, and things that you could do to help your child's development if they have autism. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!